right. What you need in the building? So I told you guys I was going to stream. So I'm streaming right now. Uh, Congratulations to the, I believe it's the ninth undisputed champion in the four belt era in boxing. Bernard Hopkins is number one. Jermaine Taylor's number two. Terrence Crawford's number three. Uh, Canelo's number four. Usyk is number five. Josh Taylor was number six. Uh, Jamel Charlo is number seven. Devin Haney's number eight. Who's number nine? I can't remember. In terms of men's boxing, it's number nine. There's got to be somebody else. I don't know who else. We had a number of undisputed champions, man, in boxing, man. And Devin Haney, he becomes, I believe, the ninth undisputed champion in boxing and the youngest undisputed champion in boxing. Congratulations to Devin Haney for making history in so many different ways. Down in Australia in a shutout against Kambosos, George Kambosos. You know, but before anybody rolls up in here and tries to say Kambosos is a bum and all this kind of rubbish, let me just let you know this is not what this channel is about. We try to keep it positive up in here. And as Devin Haney so correctly said, nobody wanted to give him a shot at those belts and the title. Lomachenko did not do it. Teofimo Lopez did not do it. And so, and Devin Haney wanted a shot at Gervonta Davis. Davis didn't want the smoke. He tried to get his mandatory, which was Ryan Garcia, to step up and face him. He didn't want to smoke. Okay. These guys didn't want to smoke with, but once the WBC was about to make him vacate his title, suddenly they're ready to face the WBC. They're ready to fight for the WBC belt. Just letting you guys know right now that you can join this stream if you want to chop it up with me. You can join the stream. There is the link, so you can just come into the guest area. I'll let you in. Remember to just mute your mic and be respectful. But yeah, it was George Kambosos, who was like a true champion, who actually stepped up to the plate and he kept his word, and he said, Devin Haney, I'm going to give you the shot, and he gave him the shot. Okay? So I don't want to hear nothing negative about George Kambosos. Nothing. Not on this channel. I will mute you. I'll cross you out. I'll get rid of you. Okay? I don't want to hear that. Kambosos did what he needed to do to win. Devin Haney did what he needed to do to win. Any means necessary, as they say. And the best man won that night. They're going to run it back, I believe, before the end of the year. Kambosos is going to get his second shot at Devin Haney. He's going to try and rectify certain things and come at Devin again. Okay. I got nothing but admiration for both fighters. But my prediction came through exactly as I said, that Haney would shut out Kambosos. It would be a shutout. It'd be a no-brainer for the judges. The judges would be like, okay, it is what it is. He basically took the crowd out of the fight, and he basically won almost every round of that. Kambosos didn't have no answer for him. He handicapped Kambosos. The jab was the major difference in this fight. And, it went exactly how I said it would go. Now, how did I know? While everybody, and by the way, Kambosos did a hell of a job promoting the fight. And clearly, a hell of a job convincing other people that he could beat Devin Haney. A lot of people were convinced. And to be fair, he did beat Teofimo Lopez, who some people considered a better fighter than Devin Haney until now. Devin Haney is the top dog in the lightweight division in terms of who is the best. I hear some people saying that, they rank Tank and Shakur Stevenson ahead of Devin Haney. First of all, Shakur Stevenson is not at lightweight. So until Shakur Stevenson comes up to lightweight, you can't put Shakur Stevenson in that equation. And Tank, as much as he's the cash cow and everything, has not had, he's not the lineal champion. He's not the top dog in the division because Devin Haney has all the hardware. Devin Haney is now the undisputed champion. There's nobody else. There's only one champion in that division, and that's Devin Haney. Tank is not the champion. In fact, Tank has a secondary title, so we don't care about secondary titles. We don't care about them, right? So as far as I'm concerned, Tank is not a champion. He really is not a champion. Devin Haney was a champion. He was the WBC champion, the real champion. And this franchise bullshit finally is going to be laid to rest. When it comes to the lightweight division, Devin Haney can get rid of that franchise belt so that now we have one champion, WBC champion. Get rid of the franchise nonsense. Kambosos, had 3 of the 4 belts as far as I'm concerned. He was a unified champion. And they finally fought for undisputed, which is great. And now we have one champion in that division. The champion is Devin Haney. All the other champions in the division are bullshit champions. Okay? No disrespect to nobody. But them other belts in the division, they're not the real belts. All right? And the WBA is trying to get rid of the Super Championship to just have one champion. And they can do that by simply having Tank face Devin. But Devin has business with Kambosos right now. And then his final contract on Top Rank, I think, is going to be, his last fight is going to be against, depends on how things go with Lomachenko. So Haney will finally get his fight against Lomachenko. So that's also a good thing, because Kambosos kind of appeared on the scene recently. And Kambosos, like I said before, he's a true warrior. He's a true fighter, true champion. He's a true dude. Okay, I just want to let you guys know, Kambosos. My respect for Kambosos continues. So I don't want nobody talking shit about Kambosos. I don't want nobody coming on here and saying Kambosos a bum, like what one of my subscribers said. I don't respect you. Don't do that up in here. You know what I mean? So George Kambosos, I totally respect him for giving Devin Haney that chance in Australia to showcase his skills, to showcase his abilities. And Kambosos will get a second shot at Devin Haney. And then from there, Devin Haney will probably have to take on Top Rank's Lomachenko next, because Bob Arum will want him to face Lomachenko, and I think that would be the end of his contract with Top Rank or Lou DiBella through Lou DiBella. So he's kind of had a contract with Bob Arum, but through Lou DiBella. Top Rank is the ones that give the rights to air the stuff on ESPN. Devin Haney will have a lot of options after that, but as of now, I think the Zone and Matchroom did a great job building up Devin Haney, and building him up to have the fights that excuse me, that he's had, make him look good. The Zone and Matchroom and Eddie Hearn really pushed Devin Haney, always had some positive things to say about Devin Haney. So, shout out to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom for not tearing down a great fighter like Devin Haney, but building him up. So I got nothing but praise for them. Of course, shout out to Showtime as well, who kind of in Devin Haney's early career, Showtime also promoted Devin Haney and did a great job, promoting him. So Devin Haney's had very good experiences with Showtime and the PBC, and then he's had very good experiences with the Zone and and uh Matchroom. Ozymandias says Haney a clown. Okay, you're gonna have to explain yourself, dude. Dude's whack. You're gonna have to explain yourself, Ozymandias, because I can't see any part of how Devin Haney is whack or anything like that. I don't know what you're talking about. So you're gonna have to help me understand that. Because like I said before, I expect the hate to come. I expect people to be salty, but the way how Kambosos conducted himself, I got so much mad respect for Kambosos. And even the way how he clapped the winner, he and his dad congratulating Devin Haney for the work he did. Ozymandias says, Haney run, 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 run to a belt. Don't know what that means, bro. That's not boxing language for me. I'm gonna tell you like this. If you don't know what boxing is, maybe you're in the wrong sport. Maybe you should check out MMA. Because in boxing, you better appreciate the back foot boxing. Because if you're saying he's running, which is stuff that you will never hear my dude, you will never hear my dude, what's his name? Kambosos ever say that. You know why Kambosos never say that? Because Kambosos actually know boxing. He'll never say that. Never. Kambosos, in boxing, it's a ring. It's a ring. So the first person comes on here, it looks like I'm going to have to get you out of this feed, bro, because we are about positivity and we are about talking and elevating the sport. We're not about, being butthurt about shit and then talking a bunch of nonsense because we butthurt. You know what I'm saying? You said dude's garbage. That's something Larry Merchant might say. He says, I can. Haney going to get undisputed by running. Listen, if he running, catch him. Because every time, like Southpaw said, every time you guys say and claim that a dude is running, what you are actually saying to me is that your guy couldn't catch him because it's a ring. There ain't nowhere to go because you can't leave the ring. So there's something called cutting off the ring. So your guy couldn't cut off the ring? He won the fight by running, but your guy couldn't cut off the ring. So what are you really saying? It's your guy's job to catch him, right? If he's running, like you said. If he's running, then it's your guy's job to catch him. Huh? It's your guy's job to catch him. Run, 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 run don't mean shit because it's your guy's job to catch him. Why didn't he catch him? Huh? See, I'm not gonna go back and forth with you. I'm gonna give you this last little bit because this is what I was talking about. This was what I was talking about. That Haney would become undisputed champion, the man of the division. And there'd be some of you who are fueled by rage and anger because the guy you wanted to win didn't win. And you're going to say stupid shit like this. And I'm glad that you expose what you really are on here and illiterate, angry fan. Yeah. And the nice thing about me is I'm in the position as a fan to disrespect you if I want to. Because guess what? I'm a fan. I'm not in the industry. I don't need you. So basically, I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I'm not gonna engage in stupidity much longer. I'm gonna mute you. But before I do, I want you to understand something. The days of Larry Merchant and Jim Lampley are gone. You are going to respect the sport of boxing, or you can leave. If you don't like it, you can leave and go watch MMA. Got it? Because at the end of the day, this is boxing. And boxing has always had back foot boxing. And there's some guys who can do it very, very well. And it was tactically sensible for Devin Haney to fight off the back foot and use his reach. And if you can't accept that reality and you're mad because Kambosos couldn't beat him and couldn't get to him and couldn't display anything because he shut him down, too bad. Too bad, buddy. You know what I'm saying? Too bad. But the days of Larry Merchant and Jim Lampley are over. Over. The educated boxing fan who appreciates the sport and likes the sport and is respectful to the sport is what we are looking for. That kind of negativity and that kind of behavior, whether it's racially motivated, whether it's culturally motivated, whether it's tribalism, when you start to open your mouth and say things you know are stupid, well, I told y'all what it was going to be. I told you it was going to be a mismatch. I told you Devin Haney was going to keep him at the end of his jab. I told you guys this. I told you he's going to walk forward behind the jab and push Kambosos back. I told you he was going to box him on the back foot as well. I didn't tell you nothing that you don't know. I told you guys this months before. I told you this is a mismatch. Y'all didn't listen. Y'all thought y'all got caught up in the hype. You think 50-50 fight, and you're talking about Devin Haney and all of that bullshit. But at the end of the day, you wanted Kambosos to win, and he didn't. And now you're salty. You're mad. Don't be mad. It's boxing. This is how boxing works. Shut him out. But I knew this a long time ago. Styles make fights. I mean, now you pissed off, so you coming on my channel to vent. Motherfucker, vent somewhere else. Vent in your basement. Don't come on this channel spouting negativity and bullshit. So some people are afraid to step to me because I'm gonna blast your ass out of the universe. Y'all know this already. You know what you need is. If you come positive, I'm gonna deal with you. If you come negative, I'm gonna stump you. You know why? Because somebody need to slap these fans stupid. I'm gonna slap y'all up because why? Y'all have been indoctrinated in negativity for too long. And boxing wasn't always like this. People used to have enthusiasm. People used to stress on the positive things of boxing. And I said, after the fight, for various reasons, people are going to pick on Devin Haney, even though he beat the fuck out of Kambosos in terms of outpointed him, outboxed him, and so on. He beat him. So what? So what? And the only people feeling offended right now is not Kambosos, because I'm gonna tell you this: Kambosos is a stand-up guy, and he's gonna find a way. He's gonna go back to the drawing board, and he's gonna try and find a way. That's what he do. He's a warrior. Okay, Shane Mosley lost to Winky Wright twice. He lost to Vernon Forrest twice. Does that mean that Shane Mosley's not going in the Boxing Hall of Fame? And guess what? Vernon Forrest is not going in the Boxing Hall of Fame. Shane Mosley is. He's in there. So I don't understand why it is that when somebody loses, you have to be a sore loser. That's what I don't understand. Kambosos didn't set that example. When he lost, he did this. He congratulated. Now, I want to see more boxing in Australia. I want to see big names come to Australia and have their fights in Australia. That's what I want to see, because the way how the Australians treated Devin Haney, the way how Kambosos and his team handled Devin Haney, the way how things went down in Australia makes me want to see more fights in Australia. Kambosos did a hell of a job promoting that fight. He did a hell of a job. Hell of a job. Okay? And y'all say what you want, but Kambosos gave Haney the shot that he so wanted. Because Kambosos knows what it is to not be appreciated. And the Australian people need to respect and honor Kambosos for bringing honor back into the boxing game. Because it's a true warrior sport, and he is a true Spartan. I respect the man. Okay? And he's going to come back again. He's going to tweak a couple things and revise certain things. And he's going to come back to face Devin Haney. And you can't count him out. Why I say all of these things is because, not because I hate any fighter or this fighter box stupid or this. No, I look at boxing, y'all. I was looking out for Troy Ingram. Troy Ingram hasn't come into the building. Thought Troy would come into the building. But maybe there are other channels which are streaming at the same time as me, and people will watch it after the fact. But we as boxing fans, educated boxing fans, need to not be like Ozymandias. We can't afford to be like Ozymandias. We salty that our guy lost, so we start infecting negativity into the boxing. We start saying stupid stuff in the boxing. We have to be sore losers. No, it's the end of the fight. The warfare is over. It was about winning by any means necessary. And I believe Kambosos is not done yet. Look out for him. You're all going to see him again. I love this guy. I love Kambosos. I don't care what none of y'all say. I'm a Kambosos fan. I'm going to rock with him, win, lose, or draw. But I'm also a Devin Haney fan. I'm always a fan of people who show character, who show that they're decent people. And Devin Haney and Kambosos are two decent guys. They're decent guys. How could you hate a guy like Devin Haney? How could you hate him? He boxed beautifully. That's what it's called, boxing. So he boxed. That's what you're supposed to do. If you think he's such a runner, why don't you get in the ring with him? See how much of a runner he is. Spar him. He'll take it easy on you. He'll take it very easy on you. But you're still going to be so sore at the end of it. So sore. He's not going to beat you up. But just go. Go inside the ring. Spend 3 minutes with him. 3 minutes. That's all you got to have. 3 minutes with him. He's not going to beat you up. The workout will beat you up because most of y'all not in shape. Most of y'all not ready. Y'all yappity yappity yap. Y'all know how to do this. There's nothing done after it. Boxing's a doing sport. And a very good doing sport at that. When you do boxing, it makes you feel healthy. It makes you feel alive. It makes you feel good. It's a very positive thing. And I just, it's one thing to, it's one thing when you're, it's one thing when you're critiquing somebody and you say what's good about them, what's bad about them. But it's another thing when you're being negative and there's no need. At the end of this fight, there's no need to be negative. Neither Kambosos nor Devin Haney have anything negative to say about one another. So why introduce it? Because you're mad? Because you're angry that he won? Because he proved that he is the real deal and you were trying to say that he was fake? Because you wanted to bang out even though that made no sense for either fighter? So, I mean, you can tell, and this is why I did a video on racism in boxing and sexism in boxing. You can tell when some people, they get mad. They get mad because they really wanted their guy to win and was hoping and praying the other guy would lose. You know? And then the truth comes out. The truth comes out. So anyway, if Kambosos had won that fight, I would have felt sad, but I would acknowledge he won the fight. He was a better fighter, and that's that. And we move on. In boxing, as in any combat sport, there are many different ways to approach it. And if you can outbox your opponent, then you outbox your opponent. You know? So if Troy Ingram's in the building, Troy Ingram, I hope you hop on here and you say your piece. You can also, as I said before, the link is somewhere up on top here. You can click on the link, which is somewhere up here, to join as a guest. Say your piece. I will be quiet as you say your piece, but be careful as to not unnecessarily be negative about certain people. If you want to continue that Larry Merchant, Jim Lampley kind of bullshit, I'll pull you off. Don't go down that road. If there's a winner, there's a winner. There was no robbery, as I said before. There was the right man won. The true champ, the real champ, the guy that actually was beaten, he acknowledged the winner. Everything that could properly be done was done. It was a great promotion. It was a stacked audience. You know, history was made. Kambosos wants his get back. He deserves it as a champion. He deserves the get back, and he deserves it in Australia. He deserves it in Australia, and I believe Devin Haney will honor that. I don't think he should worm his way out of the contract. Kambosos was straight up with him and giving him the opportunity. And I think Australia is a great place to have boxing. So why not run it back again in Australia? Give Australia a little bit more highlight again. And Kambosos try to make a better shot at it. Why not? You know what I mean? He deserves it. I think that Devin Haney, um, once he can make the lightweight weight, I'm sure he wants to get that Lomachenko fight going. Bob Arum's talking about there's no need for a rematch, but it's in the contract. So once Kambosos once he enacts the rematch clause that's there, they're gonna have to rematch. And again, I mean, why not? Why not? It just only establishes more of what Devin Haney is. And the people who were on the fence about how good Devin Haney is, well, he's that good. He's that good. We're seeing the results of it. And we're going to see more and more and more. As to Jeff Mayweather, who he had doubts about it, now you know Jeff Mayweather. Kid got the decision. And it was wide. We're talking 10 rounds to 2, 9 rounds to 3. Oh, no, I think it was an 8-4 by one judge. It was wide. Yeah, I boxed him. As I expected. But that's secondary to the conduct of both men. See, a true champion, in my opinion, is also seen in his conduct. It's not a sore loser. And that's what Kambosos represents to me. He deserved those belts when he beat Teofimo Lopez. Because Teofimo Lopez in a loss, look at the difference between Kambosos and Teofimo Lopez. Kambosos congratulated Devin Haney on his win. Teofimo Lopez could not congratulate Kambosos on his win. Okay? I see honor and integrity in Kambosos' way of conducting himself, which I admire. He made no excuses for losing. Said I was half a step behind, like Coach Anthony predicted it, he would say, and it was true to form. And shout out to Southpaw Boxing. Shout out to Coach Anthony on the jab, being an effective weapon in the fight. Shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV for also seeing the same things I saw, and also giving us scoops on different developments that happened. I truly believe that I look forward. Devin Haney and they're going to be leaving tomorrow. They're going to be out of Australia, but I hope that Devin Haney and they get property in Australia and they're able to stay there and live there, and maybe become good friends with Kambosos as well, even though they're competitors right now. Because I have a feeling that those two have a lot in common, and I think Devin Haney and Kambosos, those guys would be friends otherwise. I really like George Kambosos. I really do. I really like the guy. I also really like Devin Haney. And he's proven now, Devin Haney has proven, without a shadow of a doubt, that he's the real deal. So it's going to be very annoying to me to hear somebody say stupid stuff about this kid, or this man, shall I say, when he crossed the seas. He went to Australia in a foreign man's country. He is the third guy to do this. The first was Terrence Bud Crawford. The second was Errol Spence Jr. And now the third is Devin Haney. And what's interesting is, and I hope he does it, he goes right back into Australia and defends his title against George Kambosos. Maybe successfully, maybe not. 2 times. Because it's about being a world champion, a true world champion. While he may fight a lot of fights in the Mecca of boxing, Las Vegas, I think Devin Haney may become more of a global name if he keeps fighting in other people's backyard and other people's countries. There's more risk of him losing, some people think, and judges, botching up the decision. But by and large, what I'm saying is Devin Haney has done something that only 2 other American fighters have done. Errol Spence went to Kell Brook's backyard in Sheffield, England. Stop Kell Brook. And Terrence Bud Crawford did the very same thing Devin Haney did. He went into Scotland, right? And dominated Ricky Burns. Dominated him. Unanimous decision victory. Devin Haney went into Australia, into George Kambosos' backyard, and dominated him as well. But Ricky Burns, George Kambosos are honorable guys, including Kell Brook is also a very honorable guy. These are all honorable guys and true champions. True champions. But I want you guys to separate truth from fiction when you come on here. I want you guys to be able to realize that a lot of things that the media or people in the media may say are not necessarily true. Said George Kambosos is the more experienced, has more experience than Devin Haney. That's not true. It's false. Kambosos just won his title. Devin Haney had been a world champion and had defended his title 4 times. What you need here to hammer in a point. And he's going to hammer it in. Devin Haney, they said. This is what they say. Devin Haney gets hurt in fights. He ain't got no chin. But George Kambosos is the one that got dropped. Vasily Lomachenko is the one that got dropped by the same fighter Devin Haney faced. But they say that Jorge Linares, he don't really have punching power at lightweight. Yet he became the lightweight champion, the WBC lightweight champion. How'd that happen? I'm asking a question. Was it the WBC? No, it was probably the WBA champion. Sorry, my bad. Because when he faced Vasily Lomachenko, I think he was champion, if I'm not mistaken. He dropped Vasily Lomachenko because he got power. Everybody know Jorge Linares had power. The problem with Jorge Linares wasn't his chin. It was that he got cut so easily. So some of his fights were stopped on cuts. Lomachenko managed to drop him with a body shot. Kudos to Lomachenko. But Jorge Linares dropped Lomachenko. Jorge Linares always been a puncher. Just like Teofimo Lopez always been a puncher. So if a puncher hits a guy on his chin and gets a flush shot, like Shane Mosley did to Floyd Mayweather, you don't think he's going to hurt him? That's why he's called a puncher. So Devin Haney got caught with 2 good shots. Not just 1, 2. The right hand and the left hook, which would have put somebody else. Any other fighter probably would have gone to sleep with that. He shouldn't have been in a position to get hit with those shots, but the point is he got hit with them. And the way how his body responded was good. He stood up to it. And Linares then tried to throw a flurry of shots on Devin Haney, and he caught him with a couple in the next succeeding round. But Haney recouped, and then he started to dog Linares again and push him back. If you guys were watching the fight. So, bottom line is, and I'm going to always say what I got to say. Nobody stops me. Bottom line is, Devin Haney the goods. Now y'all can't say He a paper champion. He's an email champion. He is the champion. That's why this guy, whatever his name is, came on here and was mad. Oh, he running. He was mad because he have nothing to say. Because his guy lost. He's probably an Aussie. And he's mad that his guy couldn't catch Devin Haney. So he's mad. He's saying stupid stuff. Devin Haney the goods. And George Kambosos fought his ass off. Not 100% because he had to be careful about what he did. And Devin Haney handcuffed him because of the jab. Can't find the range to do what he really wanted to do because he handcuffed him with the jab. So Devin Haney, like I told you, this is Mayweather Pacquiao too. Devin Haney shut him down. I told y'all this was going to be a one-sided fight with one-way traffic. Y'all didn't listen to me. I told y'all this was a mismatch. Y'all didn't listen to me. So now, you thought, for some reason, you thought that Kambosos could do something to Devin Haney, and you were horribly disappointed. That's not on me. I told y'all what it was going to be. I told you this was a mismatch. Y'all didn't listen. Y'all know more boxing. Okay? Okay. So, don't be mad. I called it. I told y'all what it was going to be. I told y'all Devin Haney is on a completely different level to Kambosos. And he even said it. And that's not to take anything away from Kambosos in terms of a champion. I mean, I told you Kambosos overachieved. He's not a bum. He's not a bum at all. And if Haney was to leave the division, and here's what I would say. If Haney, Ryan, and Tank leave that division, once those three leave the division, I actually can see Kambosos taking back over the division after they're gone. I can see that happen. Shakur might come on the scene afterwards and then scoop up the belts, but I could see Kambosos becoming two-time world champion. Because I don't know how much longer Loma will be in the division, or if he'll even be in the division, where this Ukraine war, Russia war is going. But I'm telling you, Kambosos got what it takes to get back to the top of the division. He's that good. All right. I would love to see Kambosos versus Jojo Diaz, like I said before. That's the fight that I would love to see. I think those two guys are more or less on the same level, I think. Devin Haney's a level or two above them. I think Lomachenko, Jojo Diaz, Kambosos, they're all on the same level. And that sounds weird, you know, me saying something like that, but literally that's how it goes. They have certain attributes, all of them. Like Lomachenko has movement, so does Kambosos, but Lomachenko is not that long like Devin Haney, where he can use his length. He's very aggressive. He mostly fights going forwards. So if Kambosos is pushing him back, he could kind of neutralize Lomachenko. And I could see an aggressive guy like Kambosos, which has sort of similar footwork to Lomachenko. I could see Kambosos winning that fight, a close decision. And I can see Jojo Diaz giving Lomachenko all kinds of problems on the inside. Southpaw, slick, physical, knows how to close the distance, can box on the outside just in case he needs to stay on the outside when Lomachenko's trying to change up his angles or whatever. I just stay on the outside, box him on the outside, and then slip to the inside when he's ready. You know, Jojo got so much skill. So much skill. You know, Ryan's not facing Jojo. But that's the test I really like to see. I like to see how Ryan would deal with JoJo, to be honest with you, because JoJo got that defense and everything. He's just so skilled. Um, and y'all hear me talking the praises of JoJo, y'all will be watching like JoJo Diaz. He don't punch that hard and stuff. No man, JoJo is the goods. He's the real thing. He's the real thing. And a lot of people again trash real fighters, the guys who really know their stuff. Kambosos, JoJo, uh, Ryan Garcia is a very, very good boxer. Um, these when you're talking boxing, you gotta know. You gotta know. Don't worry about how Ryan's talking. Watch it how he fights. Watch it how Ryan fights. Don't go into the tribalism shit. Just look at the. You gotta understand. There's a certain type of human being in this world. Okay. There's a certain type of human being in this world. It has nothing to do with race or none of that. It has to do with their mindset. And these guys who get into boxing and fight, there's a certain mindset they have to be able to be successful the way they are. And they all have the same sort of commonality when it comes to that mindset. So you have to understand that's the difference. It's a lot of people don't understand this, that people associate themselves with them, through nationality or through through race or through culture, but fighters are not us or a typical fan. They're not typical fans. They're different. It's like talking about comedians. You can have all kinds of comedians, different races and creeds and backgrounds, but the one thing they're able to do is make everybody laugh, right? That's what makes them comedians. But it's a certain mindset, it's a certain way they think that makes them what they are. You understand? So if you really want to lump a group of people into a group, what you really need to look at is how they think, because the true person is is the person, their thoughts, and that's how you really should group people. Um, if you're gonna really group them, that's the real way to group them. And if unfortunately, we are living in an age with AI, and AI, all these streams and everything, AI is gathering all this information on all of us, and it's gonna. I mean, it's already smarter than all of us in terms of information, and there's going to come a time when humans are going to be sort of obsolete. We're going to be useless. So we must stick together at some point, because when artificial intelligence becomes smarter than us, which it's very quickly doing, uh, we won't be necessary anymore. Think about that. Humanity won't be necessary anymore. Think about what I'm saying. And that's not too far in the future. Elon Musk said it's like 5 to 10 years from now. We won't be necessary. That's scary. So I'm trying to say some things to people so that we can band together, not separate ourselves as we like to do. There's nothing wrong with celebrating our differences, but at the same time, we must be able to understand as a whole what we really are. And the best way to understand what we really are as a species is through how we think up here. It's always the mind. That's the important factor, and not so much what I appear to look like. This is why when there are conversations online where you can't see nobody can see anybody's face, we just can see the words on the page. We are interfacing mind to mind, you know. Anyways, man. So there's a certain mentality when it comes to boxers and fighters, and fighters use different techniques, strategies, whatever they need to take to win. And all of them, all fighters, once given the opportunity, will finish an opponent. If they don't belong in the ring with them, most fighters who are boxing competitively will stop someone who is levels below. It'll stop them. So all that goes to say is that you don't become an elite boxer if you don't have that fighting mentality inside of you and that drive to 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 war, to fight with each other. All right. So what you need just went into that. I was looking for Troy Ingram. He never came up on this. He asked me to do this stream, and then he never showed up. Oh man, it is what it is. I'm gonna catch you guys later. I only came on this stream because of Troy Ingram. But yeah, just as I said, it came to pass. Not to say that I am a genius or anything. I think anybody who understands the basics of boxing, meaning what fighters do, their style of fighting, uh, you know, um, I think just a general superficial way of looking at fighters, a little superficial film study, and you can see it for yourself. Your eyes will pick it up. You know, even sometimes the commentators may actually comment on some of the things that are going on that can help you to understand what you're seeing. Right? It's much more detailed than you could even imagine, but suffice it to say that um, the general idea a fan can pick up. What makes this fighter so good? You could say, like, for example, if you see a fighter that moves, sticks and moves a lot, you could say, oh, this guy's movement and his jab, that's what gives a lot of people trouble, and so on and so on. So what you need in the building, I'm about to get out of here. Shout out to my boy Stephen Fulton for successfully defending his unified titles, the WBC WBO title at super bantamweight. Looking forward to Stephen Fulton facing MJ next. Hopefully they can make that. Alec Verdiev, I think is the guy's name, or something like that. I hope that he can make that fight happen. I don't think it's Alec Verdiev, but Michael, I think it's Michael Jr. or something like that is his name. But looking forward to that fight. I hope that he's able to secure that fight, and then hopefully they can, before the end of the year, have one undisputed champion, which I believe is my boy Stephen Fulton, Scooter. I think Scooter is going to pull it off. And then I hope he has at least one defense of his title. Like, for instance, Devin Haney needs to have at least one defense of his undisputed title, which I think he'll have two, maybe even three, and then move up. So I'm looking forward to that. Devin Haney has so much. He has so much pedigree. So much pedigree, and this kid, man, this kid, Devin Haney, this man, you know, this is the beginning of so many different things. So his first title was the WBC title, and now he's undisputed. And hopefully he moves from strength to strength, man. I'm liking what I'm seeing with Devin and Bill Haney, the combination, and they have a combination of different trainers and different people that manage them. And Bill has been trying to give Devin as much exposure into the sport of boxing because Devin is insatiable in his appetite, his energy, and his passion for boxing. And I think that's a great thing, and he understands the business of boxing somewhat and the sport in a whole. So he's going down the right line. He's doing well for himself, and I like what's happening with him. As to Ferocious Promotions, man, Kambosos, man, looking for him to go from strength to strength. Get that rematch with Devin Haney. That's some more money on the table right there, and then keep Australia on the map. He might have come up short this time, but sometimes you win some, you lose some. But ultimately, in the end, he's a fighter, and I expect to see him in stay at the top of the lightweight division for a pretty long time. A pretty long time. He has the durability and everything, and if he has to move up to super lightweight, he'll do well. He'll do well. But what they cannot take from Kambosos is the fact that he was unified WBA, IBF, and WBO champion. Okay, they can never take that from him, and so that's tremendous because he beat a guy that most people would never have thought he would have beaten, Teofimo Lopez, and that's not going to be his only claim to fame. Trust me, it's not going to be his only claim to fame. So even though he lost to Devin Haney, that's because that particular style, it's a difficult style, period, for anybody to beat. But, you know, I fancy his chances against Lomachenko for sure. I think he could pull that off. I think he can. Especially Lomachenko coming out of a war. Lomachenko needing a tune-up fight, and he just jumped straight into Kambosos. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the tenacious Kambosos and a Kambosos who knows his boxing, and as you can clearly see with Devin Haney, he knows his boxing. Kambosos. So no, I think, and it's a student of the sport, and it's been pushing hard. So I gotta hand it to Kambosos. He took a tough fight. I mean, he didn't have, it had to be a big fight, and it was a big fight. It brought attention to Australia. Devin Haney has been very, very positive about Australia and the good about the place, and that's only orders well for Australia and the tourism and everything else that goes with it. And hopefully, Devin could get a place and have Australia as his second home because he just made history in Australia, and so that would be a great thing as well. And as for Kambosos, well, he's part of history, you know, and hopefully Kambosos can end up in the Boxing Hall of Fame. I'll be looking forward to that, but he's got a long career ahead of him, so we'll see what happens with Kambosos. This is a guy that ended up in the list of big names at lightweight and at the top of lightweight, worked his way up the hard way. So I'm looking forward to seeing Kambosos stay in the top five lightweights. And he has the mentality, he has the dedication. He just has to keep on working at it and building his craft, honing his skills, building his skills. And I wish him nothing but the best because I really like this guy. Genuinely, in and out of the ring, the man is class. He might have talked some crazy stuff, but it was mostly to promote the fight. he had to find something to sort of promote the fight. But by and large, man, Kambosos is a guy that I absolutely admire. Okay, and what I like about fighters is, and I admire them, is uh, that these fighters are, you know, I admire fighters who uh, represent the sport so well. Have a level of character and personality that you can really ride with them. You really like them, and both guys are very likable and they're very genuine. It's not no fake stuff that they're putting on, you know, fake goodness or fake genuineness. No, these guys are deep down, they're good guys, and you want to see them succeed. I want to see Kevin Bosa succeed. Even though he lost to Devin Haney, I want to see him. I'm rooting for this guy. I don't care what you guys say. I don't care if you think he's the villain or whatever. I know genuinely deep down this guy's a really nice guy. So I want to see him. Most boxers are really nice guys, by the way. Tariq H says uh, Tank versus Haney is the real fight. Um, that's a good fight. That's a good fight. That's a good fight. I don't know. I don't know if Tank can knock out Devin. I don't know. What I mean by that is, it's just like I don't know if Tank can knock out Ryan. There's a couple things that a lot of people are not factoring in. Devin's a big lightweight. Ryan's a big lightweight. Um, Devin's a very good defensive fighter and tactical with it. So it's going to be kind of hard. It's hard to find range on Devin because he changes up range all the time. Even though he's boxing you on the outside, he's getting closer to you. He's further away from you. He's closer to you. He's further away from you. He knows how to smother you. He knows how to back you up. with the jab. It's not as easy as it sounds, you know. And when you're a defensive fighter and you know what defensive maneuvers to sort of stay behind, it's very, very hard for people to hit you clean. Like it's hard. They may get a like a passing shot, and they can't put two shots together. They might catch you with one good one, but they're not gonna get you with another. You know, it's not that easy to fight defensive fighters, especially guys that can move very well. And yes, Tank can move very well, and he's very explosive, very quick. It'll be a tactical fight. Tank might not knock out Devin. He might knock out Devin. Devin's not Rolly Romero. Let me just make it abundantly clear. He's not Teofimo Lopez. He's a different kind of fighter. So it'll be very difficult, first of all, to catch up to him, to try and stop him. You know, you still have to respect his power. You can't just walk through his power. So it's tricky when he has the jab in your face as well. And he's long. He's very tall. It's the same thing with Ryan Garcia. It's not easy, and Ryan has a little bit of pop. It's not easy to beat these long, tall fighters. You know, you saw Tank do it against Mario Barrios, but Mario Barrios is nowhere near as quick, sharp, explosive, fast as a Tank or Ryan Garcia, and this is what a lot of people are not understanding. Tariq HH says Lomachenko might not be able to fight because he's got war, but if he's able to fight, then I'd rather see Tank go up against Loma versus Garcia. It would make for a better fight. You would be surprised that Garcia presents more problems to Tank than Loma does. Loma has foot movement, but his movement is in a pattern. You understand what I'm saying? It's in a pattern. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but he runs algorithms, okay? So he looks good against guys that are much lesser fighters than Kambosos. You know, they don't really. Richard Comey's a flat-footed fighter. He's a flat-footed fighter. He got power, and he survived Lomachenko. Lomachenko dropped him, I think, twice or something like that, and he survived Lomachenko. And he was actually doing some things against Lomachenko. He was landing his right hands every now and then. So, and Comey is not, you know, he's Comey versus Kambosos. Who you got winning? I got Kambosos. Easy, because he moves a lot and he's got good fundamental footwork, and you know, he'll attack Comey at different angles and overwhelm him. So he beat Lomachenko beat Comey and he stopped Nakatani, but Nakatani's not really, you know, he's a long guy, he got a nice right hand, but Nakatani's not really, you know, there's levels to this game, you know. Lomachenko, Jojo Diaz, and Kambosos, to me, they're all on the same level. I'm being real. Lomachenko is much more accomplished and decorated, had more opportunities, but I really don't see Lomachenko as, and I know this sounds crazy, but like I said before, Jojo Diaz, I believe, is a better fighter than Canelo Alvarez. I said it. I think Jojo is better. I think Jojo, Loma, and Kambosos should fight each other, because that would be an interesting set of guys. Kambosos got that footwork. He got that footwork. He's always moving, and he's aggressive as well. And I think if he can push back Lomachenko can't really initiate offense if he's not going forward. So if you're pushing back Lomachenko and you got him on the back foot, especially when he tries to reset, when he circles out to reset, you're going after him. It'd be an interesting fight. It'd be a very interesting fight. You know? Yes, I said it. That's right, Tariq HH. Jojo Diaz is a better fighter than Canelo Alvarez. I want to explain to you. Okay, I'll explain to you how. So, one, Jojo Diaz actually infights. He really does. He actually slides to the inside, and he'll throw 3, 4, 5 punch combinations on the inside and tag up a fighter. He just was not able to close the distance against Devin Haney because of Devin Haney's jab. Jojo Diaz can also box on the back foot. Canelo boxes on the back foot, but sparingly. he'll lean up on the ropes and stuff. Jojo Diaz is more skilled in that he can actually box. He can go around the ring boxing. In fact, early in Jojo Diaz's career, that's what he was doing. He was actually boxing on the outside more than infighting. Now he's changed up his game and he can infight. He also can fight at mid range. In other words, Jojo Diaz can do more than Canelo Alvarez can do. He can have box on the back foot. He can be very aggressive and he can actually come to you. The only problem with Jojo Diaz is he gasses out later on in fights. But Jojo Diaz he can do it all. And to me, he's a little bit more slippery in getting to the inside, like what he did with Javier Fortuna. Do understand Jojo Diaz has gone up 3 weight classes. He's not as decorated as Canelo. No, he's not. And he doesn't have the kind of power Canelo has. But Jojo Diaz is exceptional in when he picks off body punches, and he lands combinations of body punches and head punches on a guy. He doesn't just land one or two. He lands several. Okay. Of course, the southpaw stance also helps the situation, but the other thing with Jojo Diaz that I think makes him better than Canelo is the fact that Jojo, but he and Canelo use the same guard. If you notice, they use the same guard when they're coming in, and Jojo will walk just like Canelo. He can walk down a bigger fighter than him. As you saw, he walked down Fortuna, who's a rough and rugged fighter, and rough and rugged. I mean, Fortuna, hit you low blows and stuff, but Jojo's so very versatile. Like in the Javier Fortuna fight, if you look at not Javier Fortuna, is it? Yes, it's Javier Fortuna. You saw Javier Fortuna hurt Jojo, and Jojo then turned the tides on him, started boxing him on the outside, and Javier Fortuna was walking him down, and then he just switched it up and slid to the inside because he can slip and slide. Well, Canelo can do that too, but he slipped and slid to the inside, started working Fortuna's body, and then was backing up Fortuna, walking down Fortuna. You know what I mean? Jojo can do it all. Can do it all. I don't think that Canelo does it as much. Canelo has a little bit more wrinkles, but I don't think that Canelo does it as much and as clean with his punches as Jojo is. Because Jojo has, he doesn't really have the greatest punching power in the world, even though he can punch. I think he's more crisp with his combinations on the inside as well. So these are just some of the things I noticed about Jojo Diaz. And Jojo Diaz hardly gets hit in fights. If you really look at, he don't get hit flush much either. He blocks a lot of shots. It's just that he doesn't throw as much. Like with a guy like Gary Russell Jr. who throws a lot of punches. In his fight against Gary Russell Jr., the problem with Jojo wasn't that he was getting tagged up by Gary Russell. It was that Gary Russell was letting his hands go, and Gary Russell was just more active than Jojo. You know what I mean? Tariq HH says, you keep bringing up Javier Fortuna, but who is Javier Fortuna? Jojo is good, but he's not there. Nowhere on the level of skill as Canelo. Javier Fortuna, if I'm not mistaken, was a world champion. If I'm not mistaken, he fought Robert Easter Jr. to draw when they were both champions. Javier Fortuna is a former world champion. Rough and rugged fighter. Big lightweight. Career lightweight. And Jojo Diaz jumped up to lightweight to face him. Javier Fortuna was once a very avoided fighter because of his rough and rugged style and his boxing IQ. You see? That's why I bring up Javier Fortuna. Not many fighters wanted to face Javier Fortuna. Now the tables have turned, and not many fighters wanted to face Devin Haney. Javier Fortuna was supposed to face Devin Haney. He was one of the mandatories for Devin Haney's title, WBC title. Fortuna didn't want that smoke. And then Ryan Garcia became mandatory, and then Jojo Diaz became mandatory, and Jojo Diaz took it. So he's the one that stepped up to the plate. And this is a guy that comes up from featherweight. Got great defense. Great defense. Very skilled fighter. Unfortunately, Jojo Diaz, it's just what it happens, when you don't have that great set of power and you're not one hitter quitter, you're not getting knockouts, they kind of neglect you. Golden Boy kind of overlooked Jojo. And then Jojo had out of the ring problems. Jojo's only lost to 2 fighters, Gary Russell Jr. and Devin Haney. And he did better against Devin Haney, in my opinion, than Canelo did against Dimitri Bivol. So all of that, I just want to say. Remember, it's not better is not about how great you are. Better is not about how much you've accomplished. Better is when I say a guy's a better boxer, I'm looking at is fighting the skill set he has when he's fighting, how honed that skill set is. And so when I look at JoJo and I look at Canelo, I realize a lot of things Canelo does, JoJo does. JoJo does it differently, but um, and JoJo to me is more efficient at what he does, even though he doesn't have the power that Canelo has. Canelo has much more power than JoJo. Tariq H.A. says, yeah, but you know what I mean. I don't know what you mean, bro. Javier Fortuna is a former world champion and a career lightweight and a tough career lightweight that a lot of people avoided. And JoJo stepped up and said, fuck that. I'm going to face him. And not only would I face him, but I'll walk his ass down. That's very impressive. Not many fighters wanted to face Javier Fortuna because it does nothing for them. Well, it's high risk, low reward. Yeah, of course. Devin Haney was high risk, low reward as well. You're not saying anything new, bro. That's boxing. The point is, at the end of the day, they were avoiding Javier Fortuna. They didn't want that smoke. They don't want her to be roughed up. The only guy Javier Fortuna did avoid, Javier Fortuna is avoiding now, is Devin Haney, because he knew, shit, I don't know how to beat this kid. That's too much. That's high risk, very low reward. You know what I mean? He ended up facing JoJo because he thought JoJo was a smaller guy, so he could rough him up and do what he had to do. But JoJo turned the tables on him and beat his ass. I mean, put a beating on him. You know what I mean? And that's JoJo. You know, the only thing that Canelo has that JoJo don't have is he don't really have that knockout. He don't have that one-hitter quitter or that knockout power. He don't have that. Canelo had that. So that's why Canelo, you know, will get better results. But in terms of JoJo can fight, man. He can really fucking fight. I'm high on JoJo. Just because he don't have that prominence in boxing and thing, that boy could fight. He could fight. You put JoJo in there with anybody, and his chances of winning are high. He just needs to let his hands go a little bit more. Sometimes he block a lot of punches and he's a little too careful, you know, closing the gap. But again, he's at 135, but he's not a 135 pounder. In truth, he's just so skilled he can do it. Tank is the 130, 135. I don't know about 140 because it might be too big a jump. I don't see Tank doing too good with fighters like Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez. See, this is the thing. I don't know. I don't understand. Like, you guys don't realize what Tank is yet. You still don't understand. Tank has been his whole entire life. Listen to me carefully. Tank has been his whole entire life fighting guys bigger than him. Okay? He went in the ring and sparred a 147 pounder and stopped the dude. He stopped the 147, and then he just got out of the ring. Tank is what his name says. I know they call him Tank because he had a big head, but Tank is what his name is. You know, Tank is a special fighter. Now, he's not 100. He only has real titles at 130. The other titles are secondary titles or paper championships, but you know, can Tank beat a 140 pounder? Absolutely he can. Absolutely he can fight guys. Let me tell you something. Some of the guys at 135 right now, Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, right now, if you put them up on 140 to go up against, say, a Josh Taylor or a Reggie Sprogray, right now as they are, they give them hell. So Tank going up to 140 to face Josh Taylor, who's a big, strong 140 pounder. He's basically ready to go up to welterweight. He should be a welterweight right now, but He'd get Josh Taylor hell. Period. Period. Reggie Prograis said Tank wouldn't fuck with him because he got power. That don't mean shit. You gotta land it. Okay? Tank would give, that would be a hell of a fight. Him and Reggie Prograis, Ruggaroo. Hell of a fight. And if Reggie Prograis, his chin get in the way, he gonna get touched up and he gonna get hurt. I know he can take a punch, but still, you gonna still get hurt by Tank. Because Tank, if you got power, you got power. Jorge Linares got power. He carried his power up from super feather to lightweight. You got power, you got power. You know, Tank hits like a heavyweight. He hits like a heavyweight. It is what it is. You know, Tariq H says, Jeff Oloma, Haney, Tank, Garcia are all knocking Javier Fortuna out. I don't know about that, bro. Javier Fortuna's only been knocked out by one fighter in his entire career. He's rough and rugged. He knows how to survive. He knows how to do all kinds of weird shit, man. Javier Fortuna would hit you low blows. He would headbutt you. He uses elbows. I mean, Javier Fortuna is a rough and rugged kind of guy. You get a rough and rugged fight. He wasn't able to do it to Jojo Diaz. Because Jojo Diaz, I mean, the skill that Jojo Diaz has to close that distance, how he even does it is, I mean, it's beautiful. You know, and Jojo Diaz be throwing hands on you. When he gets on the inside, he gets busy. He's placing a whole bunch of punches. That's how he beat Tevin Farmer, you know. Jojo Diaz is no joke, man. He no joke. You know, and Jojo Diaz himself can be rough and rugged himself. He can rough you up. You know, Jojo Diaz ain't no joke, man. But you know, because I say it's Jojo Diaz, and because he's got a loss or two losses on his record, and you guys keep on watching, but you're not really paying attention to how the guy fights. You know what I mean? Tariq H.A. says, I'm not big on Garcia. I just don't see it. Tank is knocking him out. Did you see the sparring clip with Ryan and Raleigh? Yeah, Raleigh didn't do anything to Ryan. He never dropped Ryan. That's a young Ryan. That's like a 16-year-old Ryan versus a big, grown-ass Raleigh Romero who been kickboxing or some shit like that. Some sort of martial arts he was being in. And Raleigh got heavy hands. And Raleigh was tagging him up. Obviously, he's got heavy hands. He's a big grown man versus a 16-year-old boy. And he still couldn't drop him. He still couldn't drop him. You know what I mean? And Raleigh can punch. Couldn't drop Ryan. And my point being, don't underestimate Ryan. Ryan gave Devin Haney a run for his money in the amateurs. So Ryan is no fucking joke. Don't get it twisted. Oscar don't ever pull out chump fighters. You know what I mean? When Oscar's recruiting fighters, is one thing Oscar got. His team got a good eye for really good. I'm telling you, Ryan Garcia is the goods. People saying Ryan Garcia will never become world champion and blah, blah, blah. Man, shut up, man. Y'all just go watch Ryan in the amateurs. Like I said before, outboxed Virgil Ortiz. Made him look stupid. Walked him down. Made him come get him on the ropes. Fought him in the center of the ring. Ryan can fight. So don't let nobody fool you. He's the goods. Ryan is the real deal. He can fight. All right. It's not by chance that he's in the position he's in. Don't let him, all that stupid talk that he talked, don't study. Don't look at what the fighter be saying. Look at what they do. Look at what they do. And that's what y'all guys get caught up in, the conversations and all the stuff that the fighters be saying. I don't pay attention to that. I pay attention to what they do in the ring. You love to see Tank versus Tio? You want to see Teal get knocked out, don't you? You want to see Teal get knocked out. Teal don't have the best defense in the world. He still got to work on his defense. That's the problem with Teal. If he had better defense, Kambosos wouldn't be tagging him up like he did. Wouldn't have dropped him like he did. Teal has to work on his defense. A guy like Tank, you got to have good defense. You know, Devin Haney has good defense. Shakur Stevenson has defense. If tomorrow Tank faces Shakur, he's not knocking out Shakur. Shakur has good defense. If he faces Devin Haney tomorrow, he's not knocking out Devin Haney. Devin Haney has great defense. You see? There's a reason they're called great defensive fighters. Tank versus Ryan. Again, he might hit Ryan with a shot, but Ryan's a big, like I said before, Ryan's a big lightweight. You know, 5'11", 73-inch reach. He's a big lightweight. These are big guys. You're not just gonna stop them just like that, you know. Not to say that Rolly Romero's not a big guy, but Rolly Romero ran into the punch. Tank didn't even put a whole set of power into his punch because, you know, and Ryan ran right into Tank's punch. So Ryan knocked himself out. Not Ryan, sorry, Rolly. Rolly knocked himself out. Ryan Garcia will not run into Tank's punches. And he's much, much, much taller and longer. And he's quick. And he has quick feet. So I don't, you know, I don't see that happen. Tank knocking out those guys. Those guys are tougher competition. You're going to see Tank knock out guys that don't belong in the ring with him. But to say that Ryan don't belong in the ring with it, look, Pitbull Cruz, which is a much smaller guy than Tank. Tank's not used to fighting smaller guys, as you can tell. Pitbull Cruz got underneath Tank's shots. Got underneath the shots. That's why Tank couldn't knock him out. He did hurt his hand too, but couldn't knock him out. So when Tank faces a top tier guy, a top level guy, depending on who it is, and their defense is tight, he's not going to knock the guy out. He looks sensational against certain fighters, and y'all get caught up in the hype. Tank knocking out JoJo. Nah. JoJo will use that high guard, and he got a box on the outside, box Tank on the outside. JoJo's not a guy to just go in there. You see, he likes to mix it up, but he wouldn't just go in there. And he's very good at what he does on the inside. I don't see him knocking out JoJo. Ryan Garcia has been having mental issues. He's not focused. He's on Instagram, Twitter channel. You going with that nonsense? Remember when you thought Leo Santa Cruz would beat Tank? I never said he would beat Tank. I said Tank wasn't knocking him out. You gotta remember what I was saying. I never said Leo Santa Cruz is gonna beat Tank. I said Tank's not knocking him out, but he knocked him out. Tank is not Oscar Valdez. I think we underestimate Tank's boxing abilities. No, we know Tank is not Oscar Valdez. I'm not saying no. I'm saying y'all think Tank gonna knock out everybody, but guys who have good defense, you're not listening. Guys who have good defense, it's very hard to knock them out. Y'all saying he gonna knock out Devin Haney. How? You gotta first connect with him. And even if you do connect with him, you might have to hit him with another shot. It's not just one punch. Shane Mosley hit Floyd Mayweather with one punch. That was cool. He hit him with another one punch, but he couldn't put two together. And defensive fighters, if you never pay attention, defensive fighters, it's hard to put two good shots on them. Devin Haney got hit with two good shots against Jorge Linares, but that's about it. And you haven't seen him get hit with two good shots since then, right? It's hard. You're talking about, you gotta understand, there's a reason they're called defensive fighters. There's a reason you call them that. because they're careful about their defense. You know, and Tank hasn't faced a defensive fighter like that on that caliber. He hasn't. At no point in his career he has. Closest thing he came to was Jose Pedraza. Pitbull Cruz had decent defense. Haney has exceptional defense. Ryan has very good defense. And Shakur has exceptional defense. Those three guys I just mentioned, they have good defense. So it's not something where you just gonna go and knock out somebody like that. Y'all don't understand boxing. Yeah, they say, oh, you just make one mistake. They're trying to do the Deontay Wilder bullshit. You make one mistake and Tank will put your lights out. Well, who has Tank been facing though? Which top 5 fighter has Tank been facing that he's been doing that to? Which number 1 or number 2 fighter in the division has Tank done that to? None, because he hasn't faced them yet. So until he does that to elite fighter, you know, it's just sensationalism to hype up Tank. We don't know how Shakur or Devin would recover from the shots from Tank. Tank has to respect you, or he will start walking you down like he did Leo Santa Cruz. Tank has it great as well. Listen, bro, both guys sparred Tank. Both Shakur and Devin Haney. Devin Haney sparred Tank twice. Shakur sparred Tank on a regular. They know each other. Okay? Y'all making Tank out to be a monster that he's not. Y'all overhyping the dude. Don't get me wrong. He's a hell of a fighter and a hell of a boxer. He's underrated when it comes to boxing skills. A lot of people say, you know, Tank get in touch with punches. No. Tank can box his ass off. Okay? He can really box. But against Shakur and Devin Haney, he's going to have a problem. Why? Because those guys are longer than him. They know how to use their length. You got that? You understand? This is boxing. This is not fucking KOs for life. So they know how to use their length. You understand? It's very difficult to deal with a guy who knows how to use his length and move. Okay? That's what you're not understanding. So Shakur is very good with range and distance. Devin Haney obviously is very good with range and distance. He just displayed it once again against an opponent in the opponent's home place. So these are not easy fights for Tank. Okay, and Ryan Garcia is the same thing. He's long, he's rangy, and he has some power. Unlike Devin Haney and Shakur, he has been knocking fools out left, right, and center. Never mind that the fools that he's knocking out are not nowhere near on the level. The only one that he really knocked out that was reputable that we could talk about is Luke Campbell, right? Who had never been knocked out before, Olympian, all of that. Gave Lomachenko a tough fight, right? But, you know, that's just the way how it goes. So when you have a guy that's long and tall, it's going to be always a challenge for Tank. And you saw it against Mario Barrios. So Mario Barrios was pretty much using the jab and kind of outboxing Tank for a minute, you know, and was in the fight for a minute, you know. And Mario Barrios is nowhere near the caliber of fighter of a Devin Haney or Ryan Garcia or Shakur Stevenson. And if you say he is, then you are delusional. You know what I mean? Just joking. So I'm just saying, you know, that Tank is a phenomenal fighter, a phenomenal boxer. Okay? I'm not taking nothing away from Tank. I'm not disrespecting Tank. But the challenge in front of him against fast, phenomenal boxers themselves, whether it's Devin Haney, Shakur, or Ryan Garcia, they're not easy fights at all for Tank. Not in any way, shape, or form. He's not just going to blow through them and you're going to get a knockout. He's going to have to box. And he's going to have to box and use bobbing and weaving slipping and sliding when he can to close the distance, to try to get at them and break them down to the body, slow them down, and score, because he's going to have to score, because it may come down to the scorecards. The fight may go the distance. I know there's the hype train with Tank, knocking out everybody, and he's knocking out everybody, and that's the kind of aura Mayweather Promotions wants to give for Tank. But that's, you got to look through the smoke and mirrors and see that when you face top tier guys, you don't get them out of there like that. Okay. You must also be able to know the difference between a guy whose style is tailor-made for another fighter, or mismatches. You must be able to pick that out. Like, I can tell you for a fact, Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford is no mismatch. That's a tough fight to call. I don't know which way it's going to go. That's a serious fight. Two guys still in there at the top of the game. Both are southpaws. Both are undefeated. Both are effective in what they do. It's hard. It's hard to really say what will happen. Who will win? That's a 50-50 fight. And it probably will go that way. Tariq H.H. says, you'll see. He just reminded you again that he's the best 130, 135 pounder. Who's that? Tank? Tank can't be the best 135 pounder. He can't be. The undisputed champion at 135 is Devin Haney. You tell me, who has Tank faced at 135 that's a top 5 lightweight? Who? So you cannot anoint somebody the best lightweight in the division if he hasn't faced the best. To be the best, you got to beat the best. To be the best, you have to beat the best. So how can I anoint somebody the best in the division if he ain't beat the best? You can't. And Tank hasn't faced anywhere near the best at lightweight. His 2 fights that he had at lightweight are Yuriorkis Gamboa and now Rolly Romero. Neither of them were top 5 lightweights in the division. Am I lying or am I telling the truth? Okay? And, he started off well against Gamboa and had him all kinds of trouble, dropped him multiple times, but he couldn't finish him until the 12th round because Gamboa was durable. Very durable fighter. He gets dropped a lot, but he gets back up. And even when Tank dropped him that last and final time in the 12th round, he got back up, showing you the heart that Gamboa has. And it reflected more on Gamboa. It was very positive what happened with Gamboa over what actually happened with Tank. Tariq H.A. says, I'm not saying he wouldn't have a problem with Devin or Shakur. I just don't know how they would recover from Tank's hits. Tank knows how to walk his opponents down. Again, you guys keep on getting caught up in stuff that have nothing to do with boxing. Y'all say the same nonsense over and over again. You're worried about whether they can handle Tank's power. Let me explain to you how easy power can be dealt with. You spar bigger guys that hit harder, and that gets you used to the power. Simple? So while y'all hooting and hollering over power, Tio had power. He dropped Kambosos. Didn't he not? Kambosos also dropped him. Did he not? So how many times do we have to go through this scenario for you guys to get deprogrammed from your brain that having power doesn't mean that you will win a fight? Isn't it the same bullshit that you heard being said that Deontay Wilder could change a fight in any minute, any time, and yet Tyson Fury is the one that knocked him out twice? Yeah? Boxing is beyond power. We need to stop with this bullshit. At the elite level, at the top level, we've seen it over and over again. Keith Thurman at the top level couldn't knock out guys. Huh? I'm trying to explain something to you guys. I don't know if it's going to help or it's just going to bounce off your head and you're going to keep on talking about power all the time. We hear this over and over. Just because they're promoting a fighter by saying he has fight-changing power, which I'm not disagreeing with. But guess what? How many of these fighters have we seen? Shane Mosley had fight-changing power. Canelo has fight-changing power. Oscar has fight-changing power. How many times do you need to see this, okay? Marcus McDonough had fight-changing power. What does that mean, though? Does that guarantee that you're going to win the fight? No. A sport's called boxing, not KOs for life. It's called boxing, not tough man contests. Just because you can't stop a fighter doesn't mean you can't win a fight, even if the fighter's pressuring you. It's boxing. And boxing comes down to what you know. Do you understand that? And that's something, most of what you know, you have to be taught. Me either. I was going with Crawford, but I just don't know. Yeah, I think I know. I understand why you would go with Crawford. I also see what you're talking about, but like I said before, there's a lot of wild card stuff with Errol Spence. Errol Spence can do a lot of things, and we still haven't seen his full catalog of stuff that he can do. You know, so it kind of leaves a sort of like a sort of something open there. You know, it depends. It depends on if Errol's going to fight Crawford smart, or if he's going to try to impose his will on Crawford. If he's trying to impose his will on Crawford, I think Crawford wins. You know, he has to do more than that. I think he has to come smart, not just trying to outwork Crawford or impose his will on him. Tariq H.H. says, I'm saying he's in the future. Tank will be the best. Oh, you're saying in the future Tank will be the best. Not right now. He's the best, but when these fights go down, I think he wins. Okay, I understand. I understand that. Okay. I mean, I don't know how the fights will pan out. What I can tell you is these are harder fights, much harder fights than you know, what he has faced so far in his career. Now Ryan Garcia fight, that's a big challenge. And Tank, he welcomes it. He welcomes the challenge. Because Ryan's long, he's rangy, he's fast, he has fast hands and fast feet. He has pretty good timing. And now he's added to his arsenal, not just boxing, he can box you on the back foot. Now he's adding power and he's walking down guys. So Ryan is different. He's different, trust me. And Ryan in the amateurs used to fight mostly off the back foot, like Devin Haney fights. In the pros, you know, he's using power now, and he's walking behind his power punches. So, and he can box. So it's you know, it's not as easy as it sounds, bro. It's not as easy as it sounds. And don't get see, you know what people get caught up in? It's the voices of the guys. I think, you know, if you listen to Devin, it sounds like he has a boyish voice. You know, Devin's voice is boyish. And Ryan's voice is high. So Holly Ingram, hey man, I thought you was gonna come through, bro. I can't. I started this whole thing up for you. Well, pop in. The link's on the top. Just pop in, show your face, and leave. Say what you got to say and leave. What do you think about Jerome Ennis? A beast. Jerome Ennis is a beast. Don't get me wrong. I'm big fans of all these guys you're talking about. You're talking about Ryan, Devin, uh, Tank, uh, Kambosos, Jerome Ennis. You know, I'm big fans of these guys. You know, for me, the biggest, the fighter I'm a most a fan of right now is Stephen Fulton. I really like this kid, man. This guy, he's the real deal. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my guest coming into the building just for a brief second before he goes to sleep. Troy Ingram in the building. Salute, Troy. Let me add you to the stream here.
Oh, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. And how's yourself?
Well, I'm doing good. Just working hard. Just got off. Yeah.
Oh, you just got off of work.
Oh no,
Cool,
I've been
man.
off,
Well,
but I woke up early this morning,
whoa, okay.
so
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like 3 o'clock, almost 4 o'clock in the morning where I'm at, talking
hmm
about the fight. So let's hear your take on the thing, man. Let's hear your take on the thing.
Yeah, man. He boxed beautiful, man. That jab is just beautiful. Like the feints,
Sir.
the variation behind the jab. It was just
Yes,
amazing.
sir.
And like, it's so many people that don't know nothing about boxing. They they saying he running and all that. I went to his Instagram page and people saying he running. It's like, come on, man. They just most
Hayden.
people most people don't know nothing about boxing. Like they just look at the knockouts and it just
This is the problem. The problem with it is people don't know what boxing is. They don't
yeah.
understand he's setting the guy up and he's
Mhm.
getting the guy at a certain angle. And Kambosos, who knows boxing himself,
Mhm.
realizes what Devin Haney's doing, and he's trying to counter that to get that left hook in. So Campbell's
Mhm.
is trying to get that left hook in a number of times, but Haney keep on landing that right hand to keep that left hook at home. So they don't understand the game, you
Yeah.
know, the chess match that's going on in there. And
Mhm.
so that high level stuff, them people,
Mhm.
they don't understand it. Like Tariq H just said it in the building, he just said, you can't run in a boxing ring. You know, the
Yeah.
goal is to hit and not
Exactly.
get hit. Absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
and so the sweet science of boxing, we saw it on display in, you know, in terrific fashion. Terrific
Mhm.
fashion. And Kambosos, at the end of the fight, you see he's clapping Devin Haney that he won. In other words, Kambosos is acknowledging you outplayed me here, bro. But I'm coming back to get my revenge if I can, you know?
Mhm.
And that's the way
Yeah.
how the game should really be, you know, and fans
Yeah.
shouldn't be like dumbasses saying some dumb shit that don't make no sense. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? No disrespect to fans. I know you guys kind of fans do the, you know, they're the lifeblood of boxing. But I think Larry Merchant and Jim Lampley did a tremendous job at making them stupid dumbasses. You know, that's what I
Yeah.
truly feel. Dumb down
It's
the
like
sport because before them there was
yeah.
it was much better.
And Jim Lampion, like he man, like I'm not Jim Lampion, but Larry Merchant hated Floyd. Like it's like every time I hear him
Shit,
speak
man.
on Ellie's setback, like it seemed like when a guy mentioned that Floyd finished undefeated, he was 4-9-0, and Larry Merchant was like he just his voice start cracking and stuff like that. It's like he hated that. Like he hated that.
Yeah,
Like he
he hated that Floyd was successful because he actually helped to destroy Roy's career. He destroyed
hmm
Pernell Whitaker's career in terms of how people perceive them. You know,
yeah.
like he always said that Roy didn't really fight anybody; it was just the alphabet titles he was accumulating. And Roy fought 21 world champions, beat
hmm
19 of them. That's some
yeah.
crazy stuff right there. That's just ridiculous thinking about that, you know, and how he talked down that. Then he talked down Pernell Whitaker. You know,
hmm
this is what this guy did. He tore down our heroes. He tore down people
hmm
who were doing exceptionally well. Even I remember he talked bad about Oscar De La Hoya. I mean, I just don't understand why these guys were even there. What was he doing there? Why? You know, before
yeah.
him, it was all these other announcers who used to talk up fighters and really actually call fights. And then this
hmm
guy came into boxing and just screwed it up, man.
ruined it.
So
Yeah,
that's why you get people now saying some really dumb shit because they angry that the guy win. And
and it
it's the
seemed like
last
they always talk about patriotism until it fit their criteria. Until it comes to some African
exactly.
American dominating, it's like, okay,
You
you supposed to
know
be for America, right? Y'all say y'all get
exactly.
mad at people for kneeling for the flag. They get mad at people for talking about the flag and stuff like that. But then they not patriotism towards us. It's like they subconscious racism. It's like they
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it's like they know that Floyd and Ward them are good, and they
Very
know that
good.
Roy, they know that they good, but they just don't want to give them the credit. You know,
Right.
it's
Exceptional. We're talking about beautiful, exceptional boxes, right?
hmm
And I don't care. Like I said, I don't care about race like that. When it comes to
hmm
boxing, I will acknowledge when I see brilliance in front of
hmm
me. You know what I
from
mean? I don't
anybody,
care who
yeah,
you are. Yeah. And that's
from
real
Mexican,
boxing
whatever,
fans.
yeah,
I don't care, right?
yes sir.
But
hmm
when it comes to now, guys like Larry Merchant who had their agenda or whatever the hell they had, you know,
hmm
they had to tear down, and
hmm
I know many announcers in boxing, whether it was ESPN or otherwise, wasn't doing that. They would always talk
hmm
about the positive points of fighters and stuff. That's one thing I give Teddy Atlas. Teddy Atlas was a guy. If you notice, listen to Teddy Atlas a lot. He's gonna be
hmm
very critical about a fighter, but he never tried to slander them. He never tried to, be derogatory toward any fighter. Even when Pacquiao was juicing, and he would say it in a kind of funny way. He looked like he took a little drink here on the side, or Teddy.
hmm
Teddy was a guy that was careful because Teddy came up in boxing, right?
hmm
Teddy is a trainer. So Teddy has the respect for boxers. Another guy, Al Bernstein, say what you want about Al Bernstein, whether you know
yeah,
boxing or not.
I like
But
him.
Al
Yeah.
Bernstein, again, very respectful of the boxers. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
And so I just think that these guys did so much damage to the sport that people say some really dumb stuff, and the dumber,
hmm
boxing getting dumber and dumber and dumber. And I just hope that this channel and other channels I see around
hmm
helps to educate the fans on boxing and reverse that damage that was done to the sport, because that's why I'm here. You know,
hmm
that's why I'm here. To be honest with you, I'm not here to really. Even though I love a lot of fighters, and some of the strangest, y'all will be shocked at some of the fighters I like. You'd be
hmm
like him, but he's a racist. So I'll be like, but he could fight. The motherfucker could
hmm
fight. You know what I mean? So I acknowledge, because I like Sergey Kovalev. I really do. I like him, and I know
hmm
he's done some atrocious shit.
Oh yeah,
All
yeah.
right. Yeah, he's racist and he's misogynistic. He beat up women, all kinds of stuff. He crazy,
hmm
but you don't expect boxers are not necessarily perfect people,
Yeah,
right? And even
they go
even
through
the
too much
killer
things.
man,
Yeah, because like the brain
and
damage,
they
it
come,
just hmm
yeah, and
and a
then
lot of
they
those
come
guys
from
come
such,
from bad. Like
yeah,
a lot of them come from
bad
bad places. So
backgrounds.
and
Yeah,
that
yeah,
sometimes they can't handle. Like they already mentally messed up. Like through like
right.
with the brain damage and all that. So and it adds
Yeah,
on to it. So
yeah,
so.
exactly. So that's like they say, boxing's a lonely sport. A lot of people misunderstand boxers a lot of times, and
hmm
most boxers are nice people. They're very generous. They're very kind. They actually are very thoughtful people. In front of cameras, they may behave differently or in competition, but they're actually nice people. It's just that unfortunately, they may do some really crazy stuff.
hmm Yeah.
But all of us do at some points. All of us do things that we regret or that just crazy, plain crazy. But
Uh-huh.
we are not as popular, so we won't get a whole set of eyes on us when we do
hmm
crazy things. But um, it's I think it's really, when you really appreciate the sport like you do. I know you do. Um,
Yes,
I
sir.
really think that people are able to talk boxing, the passion.
hmm
So I'm glad I had you on, man, tonight. I know you need to go to sleep and get your rest for the next day. But I really appreciate you showing your face on this program, man. I'm always happy to have you. always. And what do you think of Stephen Fulton's win over
Oh, I saw that
Daniel Roman?
Oh, that was a good win, man.
Daniel
Like
Roman, yeah.
he boxed brutal. Yeah, like he
Yeah,
good, man.
yeah,
Like
yeah. That's what I'm
man,
saying. That's
he
my
got me
favorite
paying.
fighter right now in boxing.
Yeah,
In boxing today, he could do it all. He could box and fight.
I saw
And
his last fight
he's
against like the other guy.
Figueroa,
Got his name. Figueroa. Yeah,
Brandon.
Figueroa. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
man.
he only has tough fights, man.
Yeah,
he's been brought
he
up
fighting
tough,
everybody, man.
and
But not many people
he
know about
fights
that weight class.
everybody.
Yeah, not
Yeah,
many people
super
know about the weight
bantamweight,
class.
man.
It's, it's not really
But you know,
popular.
Gary
So,
Mariganal used to be in that weight class. So
with,
and Donaire used to be there, and
oh yeah,
that's the same weight
yeah.
class. Yeah, super bantamweight. But
Oh okay.
he may become the very first. If he faces AJ, he may become the very first uh undisputed super bantamweight champion. They in the history of super bantamweight, they've never had
Wow,
a undisputed champion. So he may
that's
become the
good,
very
man.
first one. Yeah.
That's good.
So I hope he is able to do that and then go up to defend and then go up to featherweight and do his thing because he has a lot of promise behind him, man.
Yeah.
He's really good.
All
Yeah.
right, man. Good speaking to you. I had to get in. I
Yeah,
had to
good
get in
speaking
on
to
you.
you too, brother. I'm glad I got
Hmm.
you on here.
That's
Yeah,
right.
man. You have a good night and we talk boxing at a later time. Anytime you're ready.
All right, man. You too, man. I
All
like your
right,
channel.
man.
You my favorite channel, man. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Blessings.
I, I love your insight, man. Yeah.
Well, I try my best as a
Oh, yes,
fan.
sir.
All right.
Yes, sir. All right,
All
man. Be
right.
safe.
So you
What
too.
happened?
So
Oh, you want to say something?
no, I'm good.
Oh, all right, man.
All right. Peace. Tariq H says, "Let me ask y'all a question. Who has a better IQ than Floyd? I'm not saying Floyd is the best or the greatest, but who are some fighters that possess a greater IQ than Floyd? Boxing IQ you're talking about? Um, I don't know. I, uh, I can name a couple. What I can say, I don't know if they have greater IQs. What I could say, Tariq H is, I think that they have some boxers out there that that have good IQ, good boxing IQ, and as such, I believe would have been good matchups for Floyd. I think to beat Floyd, you wanna do things that everybody else hasn't been doing. So one of the things everybody always said is you had to put a lot of pressure on Floyd, relentless pressure, and you have to throw a lot of punches and be very active and that kind of thing, body punching and that kind of thing. But what I've come to realize is because Floyd's a counterpuncher, that's actually playing into his game. So what you really want to do with Floyd in terms of a boxing IQ is you want to be able to make Floyd come to you. That's the first thing you want to do. You want to make him come to you because when he's on the front foot, and he's throwing punches, he's much more open to counters. You want to actually counter Floyd, which is kind of the irony of the situation. The winning combination actually counter punches Floyd. The other thing you want to have is nice tight defense. You want to have tight defense because you want to make him miss and make him pay. So you want to have tight defense as much as is possible. You want to have a very good jab. Um, and when I say a very good jab, I'm not necessarily talking about a hard jab or a regular jab, even. I'm talking about you need to have varied jabs and be able to move with those varied jabs. So, of course, you're going to go to the body where you can pick him off, try to get him to go on the front foot, come find you. You have to have good defense and you have to have decent power to keep him honest. And with those combinations of things, I think you can kind of turn the tables on him and play his game back at him, and let's see how successful he is trying to find you. And that's what Logan Paul pretty much did, which is why he survived 8 rounds. Now Flo was beating the shit out of him, but nonetheless, he was able to sort of survive. to make it to the finish line. You got to have a pretty decent clinch game as well to kind of stop the action. Um, if you got reach advantage, use that. Whatever advantages you have, height, reach, you want to use those things. If you're trying to take the fight to Floyd, I mean, at certain points you're going to have to take the fight to Floyd, back him up on the ropes and stuff like that. But you got to have a kind of all-around game. Okay, so fighters that could do something like that. Okay, I think Pernell Whitaker would have given Floyd a lot of problems, even though I know Floyd did quite well with him in sparring. I heard. I still think Pernell Whitaker would have given Floyd a lot of problems. Um, I think Pernell Whitaker's IQ was good enough to give Floyd problems in a fight with him. Another fighter that I believe would have given Floyd problems is the absolute opposite of Pernell Whitaker, is Aaron Pryor. Aaron Pryor at 140, you know, resilient, fast, you know, kind of like Manny Pacquiao, a lot of punches, punches and bunches, but good boxing skill at the same time. Recognition of distance, can use his jab, can walk a fighter down, could box off the back foot. Aaron Pryor had a lot of ability and skills, and he had a lot of tenacity. So, and intensity. He could really take the pace of the fight up. But at the same time, he could also box you. And so I think another fighter like that would have been Aaron Pryor. Um, uh, I got to go way back into time. Charlie Burley would have been another fighter I think that would have given Floyd, something to think about. Charlie Burley was a guy who, he knew how to disable a jab. He knew how to kind of disable fighters. Now Floyd kind of leads off of the right and the left hand. Another fighter I think will give Floyd problems would have been Mike McCallum. I think Roy Jones Jr., James Toney, they all give Floyd some problems. James Toney though didn't move as much as Roy did. Roy was more mobile. Roy would have had the reach advantage, and Roy would have baited Floyd into some traps, and Floyd would either have taken the traps or he would have stayed balanced and gone in, still trying to walk down Roy. So fighters kind of like that with the kind of ring IQ, the kind of boxing IQ, the kind of boxing knowledge, the kind of boxing skills and abilities. Those kinds of guys would probably have given Floyd some problems. Tariq H says Pernell Whitaker. If Roy Jones Jr. was in the same weight class, he's not in the same weight class, but I'm just saying if Roy was smaller, or Floyd was bigger, those would be guys that would give him some problems. Um, who else? Well, Sugar Ray Leonard would have not been an easy fight for Floyd. So that would have been another guy, Sugar Ray Leonard, but he got hit a lot more. Roy hardly got hit most of his career. The guys I'm mentioning, they're hard to get hit. They have really great defense. Roy only got dropped once in his prime. So I'm talking about prime Roy, obviously, not Roy past his prime. Lou Duval caught him with a shot, put him down. But who else do we have? And Roy was a distance fighter, so he was really good at, moving and, you know, using either hand as his lead. Something Floyd do. And Floyd, I know Floyd patterned a lot of his stuff after Roy as well. So Roy's a pioneer in so many different ways, influenced so many people. I think Floyd is a cross between Pernell and Roy, actually, with not as much punching power as Roy has. So he is a cross between the two of them, I think. Kind of mixture of skills, some God gifting, and some natural talent. That's Floyd. Um, but yeah, so if you ask me about IQ, certain fighters, most of the fighters, I think they had to have great defense. So you're talking about guys like um, Mike McCallum, I think, would have given Floyd some problems because Mike McCallum had really good defense. And Mike McCallum, just to make my point, he drew at the age of 35 with James Toney, who was like 23, 24 years old. So, Mike McCallum was no joke. He never got stopped in his entire career. You want to look at fighters like that with defense that's just exceptional. So James Toney had exceptional defense. Canelo has exceptional defense, by the way. But Canelo, like James Toney, they don't move enough. They don't move enough, you know? So You would Tariq H says Pernell Whitaker versus Floyd would have been a great match. I would have loved to see Zab Judah versus Floyd go at it again. Well, they sparred many a time since then, so it's probably recorded somewhere. I would be interested in seeing how they sparred and everything. But Zab Judah is exceptional. You know, Floyd used to use Zab as a sparring partner, shop him up for Pacquiao. Him and Demarcus Chop Chop Corley. I mean, the sparring Floyd got, was so much better that Floyd was so ready for Pacquiao because he sparred Zab and Chop Chop. So if that don't tell you how good those guys were, I mean, nothing will. But I would like to see Zab, but I don't think it'll ever happen. Zab, because he got a head injury and he had a brain bleed, I don't think Zab's ever going to be back in boxing, doing any more boxing. I think that's it for Zab. But otherwise, I would love to see an exhibition with Zab or Chop Chop versus Floyd. Either one of those guys, versus Floyd, an exhibition. But I think Floyd's actually going to be facing Amir Khan in an exhibition. So that's some good stuff right there. I think Arislan Dilar is also a kind of was somewhat of a mobile 154 pounder. Guys who are mobile. So guys like I said, with Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, even Kid Gavilan, those kind of guys who stick and move. They stay on the stick, they jab a lot, they move. Those kinds of guys. Again, Sugar Ray Robinson got hit quite a lot, I found, and Kid Gavilan, he also got hit quite a lot. Um, Again, not the money punches. They're not getting hit with money punches. That's the important point. But you still could accumulate points on them. You can still land shots on them. Again, back then, guys were really trying to throw shots to hurt one another, more than just amass points. So, it's there's the different things with history. Anyway, I'm getting sleepy. I might have to wrap it up, guys. I'm gonna try and come back on here tomorrow. Just in case you guys don't know, you want to donate to my channel because this is a business. If you guys ever feel impressed to donate to my channel, you don't have to. Again, it's a donation, so you're not obligated to it. I put this in the chat. I'll try and put it at the end of the stream as well. My PayPal, so you guys can donate to my PayPal. What you need in the building. It's been nice talking with you guys. I need to go get some sleep because I was sleeping. I woke back up. I went back to sleep. I found out that Devin Haney won the fight like I expected him to. It's cool. Again, Kambosos, shout out to him. Mad respect to Kambosos. You are one of my favorite fighters now. And not because of the loss. I liked you before even that when you beat Teofimo Lopez, which I kind of suspected you would because you were so serious. And I still I have a mad respect for Kambosos. Tariq HH says, it seems like the only way to beat Floyd was to knock him out, but that was feeding him to his game plan. Yeah, because it seemed impossible to outbox Floyd. That's probably why his opponents came the same. But Cotto mixed up boxing and pressure. And if Cotto could have gotten, in the second half, he was able to get Floyd to come get him. And that's how he actually scored most of his points. And that's how he hurt Floyd with that counter jab that busted his nose open. So, Cotto kind of showed us a little bit what you needed to do to beat Floyd. And Marcus Maidana, if he wasn't so busy trying to survive Floyd's attacks because he didn't have as good enough a defense as he needed to have, he might have gotten Floyd to walk into his game because even in the second fight, Floyd was walking into Marcus Maidana's jabs. And I believe Marcus Maidana and Robert Garcia and his dad, they looked at the Cotto fight. I believe they looked at the Cotto fight and said, this is what we need to do to beat Floyd. Because Floyd is more vulnerable to getting hit and countered when he's coming at you. And can Floyd be outboxed? No, but can you have a game plan where he kind of underestimates you? You set him up for something, you hit him with something, and you can then kind of get him to walk into your game because he's underestimating you all the time. Yes, you can, right? And so it's not so much about outboxing Floyd as it is having a proper game plan to fight Floyd. You see, because a lot of guys got carried away and they thought they needed to knock him out to win, and that was not the way to go. You have to sort of, the word is out finesse him or outsmart him. Floyd's a smart fighter, but even so, while he makes adjustments and adapt, if you could be a step ahead, so he always has to adjust to you because he didn't know that you had all these wrinkles. You have to make him underestimate you. You have to make him underestimate you, just like what Marcus went down and set him up for that counter right hand, that 1-2 that he hit Floyd with in the third round. And then he got the momentum, so he was able to put pressure on him in the fourth, in that second fight. And he caught Floyd with some pretty good shots in the fourth, but then Floyd made an adjustment in the fifth. And then Floyd started taking precautions, and he tightened up his defense. You don't want him doing that too often. Cotto made a really good run where, and Floyd was like, man, I underestimated Cotto. Cotto made a good run from round 7 all the way up to round 11. Cotto won 4 straight rounds, or five straight rounds. It's 5 straight rounds, 4 straight rounds, right? He won 4 straight rounds. You know why? Because he was busy. Floyd thought he could just walk down Cotto as Cotto was retreating, going backwards. And Cotto was playing the role as if he was retreating, as if something was wrong with him. But he kept on hitting Floyd with those jabs. He kept on hitting him with the jabs as he's moving backwards. Because Cotto can box a little bit. And so he was able to sort of dope Floyd into winning rounds. He was just piling up rounds, and Floyd didn't realize that. And then the 12th and final round, it would have been a draw had Floyd not made an adjustment and got Cotto to chase him down a little bit, and he caught him with the uppercut. And even then, he was trying to keep Cotto off of him, kind of like, and Cotto was still coming at him. You know. Tariq HH says, great stream. Thanks, man. Appreciate that. We like to talk boxing and stuff, and somehow it got around to being Floyd again. But Devin Haney, undisputed world champion in the 4-belt era. What an accomplishment. Congratulations to Devin Haney on a well-earned win. Boxing has won out again, even though both guys are boxers, so it was just great. Like I thought, Australia is a great place to have boxing fights, and I hope that Down Under will get more of these big fight cards after Kambosos Haney 2, which will happen in Down Under again. And I just hope we get more. There have been, throughout the years, from Bob Fitzsimmons go all the way down, great Australian boxers. Okay, there have been great Australian boxers, and Australia's was known as the Mecca of boxing for a minute. And what I like about Australian boxers is they're, again, very gritty boxers. They fight, and they really fight. They put it down. So Kambosos just comes from that beautiful lineage, and we've had other great Australian boxers like Daniel Gill. We've had Costa Zoo. We've had Jeff Horn, and we've had what's the guy that Jeff Horn beat? I forgot his name. It's great 154 pounder. So Kambosos is now one of the great legendary Australian boxers. And hopefully we can see him as lightweight champion of the world again, because I don't think it was a fluke that he became champion. He just happened to exist in an era where you had some really exceptionally good guys, and he beat one of the exceptionally good guys. So kudos to Kambosos on that. I'm gonna catch you guys later on What You Need. Peace.